All right, guys. I think we are live. My name is Dr. Sharnael Wolverton Sehon with Swiftfire True TV. And this is the biggest panel I've ever done at once. And it was on purpose with strategy for a lot of reasons. And I'm just super excited to have all of these amazing, actually beautiful inside and out women here, strong women who are amazing, courageous, beautiful people on their planet doing amazing things in their own rights, in their own audiences all over the world. And I strategically collected these guys on purpose because of what they're doing in the world and the light that they are bringing to discuss a very important topic that is on the hearts and the minds of everybody right now, and that is how to stay positive in this situation that we're in this season that we're in, and also how to create as new earth architects. Like, what is our responsibility and what can we do? What can you do? That's what everyone is asking. That's what I'm bombarded with consultations and messages of, this happened, what do I do? This happened, what do I do? This happened, what do I do? So I have this collective group, not only to bring you amazing information, but also because I, on purpose, really thought it would be cool for everybody to meet each other. None of these people have really done a lot with each other, except for me. I've done something with everybody.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much. I know Leslie and Rani have done a couple things together. And so this is a collective on purpose for all of us to bring a multiplication through the cross-pollination, and just to bring that energy of everyone finding each other, remembering the gifts and the strengths of unity in numbers. And so that's kind of what the purpose is here. And I would hope that you guys, if you're watching, I would love to hear where you're from. I'd love to have you share, because I know that this information is going to be very pertinent for many people who are feeling depressed, paralyzed, anxiety, all the things that are understandable, and, kind of the situation. So, but before we get going, definitely please share. Please go to swiftfire.org for the newsletter, because we know that is a place where you can get good information. Lots of information being shared there that I do not put on any platforms. And so please do subscribe to swiftfire.org. But I'm going to start with everyone giving little tidbit about who they are, where they're from, just so we all get to know each other, for one, because some of these people don't know each other, but also for those of you who may not be as informed on who these people are, then you can get an introduction as well. I'm going to start with Rani, and we'll just go around.
Yay, hey, I'm so honored to be here in this beautiful, life-giving conversation. And I'm from Northland, New Zealand, so I live by the beach. I love to surf. I studied as a naturopath, which just springboarded me into natural health and wellness and just this beautiful awakening process. So yeah, I surf now, which has been a massive part of my empowerment, and just learning how to have fun and let go and just be in harmony with nature. I live here in Ruakaka with my husband and my 3 children and our German Shepherd, like Dr. Sharnael, and our 3 cats and 2 goats and alpacas. So that's part of my secret of joy, is just we love to be in nature, in harmony. And yeah, so I'm doing empowerment coaching now, because as I was consulting as a naturopath, I just saw deeper into the soul level of, how we self-sabotage and how we have traumas and things. So I am really enjoying working on that deeper level with people, because I'm just seeing beautiful testimonies and unfoldings in their life. Yeah.
I love it.
Can't hear Sharnael anymore.
She's muted. Oh, who goes next?
Hey, so I'm getting a little feedback. Did you guys hear that too, or is it just me?
That's why I muted.
Okay, maybe mute in between. And or Rainey, can you grab some earbuds? If you have any. Yeah, you don't have any. Okay. Shemane, I'd love to have you next. And by the way, I want to say I've been to New Zealand and met Rainey. Rainey's come over here. We've done a lot of work together in the past. We have a lot of mutual friends and beliefs and understanding. And this lady is the real deal. And I just love her so much. And Shemane, yes. We've had a few panels and back and forth, and I'm super excited to have you back. Tell us a little bit.
Well, first of all, I should really spell my name the way that you printed it because it makes more sense, but there's no I in it. But that's the least thing that it's no big deal. So but I constantly, like, if I go order something and they call names out, they're like, shh, like I can tell when they get stumped. That's me. But so my background is I've been teaching group fitness classes for 40 years. I happened to fall into a great gig and started creating some programs for Zumba, traveled all around the world, trained instructors in Australia, didn't make it to New Zealand, London, Paris, almost every state, Canada, and literally was the epicenter, the highlight of my life. But then I got sick and almost died from toxic mold exposure in my home that was once featured on MTV Cribs. Had 4 different types of mold in my bloodstream. And also I was diagnosed with having pre-emphysema, and I don't smoke. And so I think that's really why I'm here. I'm on a mission from God to educate people about not just toxic mold. I do have a documentary about my story coming out in the next couple of weeks, but also about women's empowerment, healthy lifestyles, because especially now more than ever, we need to be responsible. We need to take care of our health. Who wants to go to the doctor? You know, so I try to educate people about some of the things that I've done, what I've learned, some of the mistakes I've made. I do online programs, I write books, and I do Facebook Lives. And I just really try to encourage, inspire, and motivate people to be happier and healthier. And I too have animals. I have 3 dogs that
I love your dog.
We now call our children, because our children are adults. So these are our kids. They're very much part of our life.
Yes, and you are doing a great job with the joy and happiness, and love all your shows. And I'm actually going to have Rocco on, your son, tomorrow with a panel of artists, because he's an amazing artist with beautiful music. And I cried the first time I heard one of his songs. So
Aww.
You're a good mom and great what you're doing and all the things. And I love all your animals. Oh my God. I have a German Shepherd and 3 big dogs too. And I saw you in your little you were driving out in the field with the dogs in the back. And I'm like, we need one of those things so we can carry all the dogs around. But anyway.
Our house is like, well, we have a few hundred acres and it's like a dog park. You know, it's all about the dogs. We have air-conditioned dog kennels, but they're in bed with us most of the time anyway in our house. It's like I hand feed one of my dogs because she doesn't like to eat out of the food bowl. So it's all about the dogs.
Yes, I get it. Believe me, I get it. And the cats for me too, right?
Yep.
So Corina, we did a mutual interview, and I'm having you on the show coming up, but give a little bit of background, because you have an immense audience as well, and you're doing amazing things in the kingdom and for people. Do share.
Thank you. First of all, it's such a pleasure and an honor to be here with all these beautiful, powerful women. So thank you, Dr. Sharnael. So my name is Corina, and I live in Nashville. I'm sure that you can tell I don't have a Southern accent. So I'm originally from Romania. And, really, my blueprint really of what the Father has put in me to carry is it started when I was 7 years old and we had attempted to escape communist Romania back then. So, literally the supernatural intervention of heaven came. We were captured. We lost my dad the first time. We were captured the second time. So at that point in time is when the Lord kind of really showing me who he really is, not just as a God that from tradition, we've learned about, and he's up there and we're here, but more of no, who he really is in and through us. So through that process, I wrote a story, a book on it. It's being made into a film, feature film, documentary. So all of that, through that process, is the Lord has asked me to remind people who we are. We're living in a day and in an age when we are bombarded with fear, bombarded with negativity, bombarded with religious programming. And it's up to us to stand up and to really, the identity of who we are and the true power that we carry in us. So my mandate is to kind of shake people or awaken them out of their spiritual amnesia into the realization of who we are, and that together in unity, there is nothing that we cannot create. Absolutely nothing, because we are co-creators. So once we get that in our mind, then there is no stopping us. There is no stopping humanity once we awaken and we know who we are. So that's kind of what I do. I mentor people. The other thing that it's a passion for me is saving the children that are being, horrifically things done to them. So I do have another group where we engage on every Friday night on Zoom with people from all over the world. And we ascend literally into the heart of the Father. And we, through the Spirit, through the spirit realm, beyond the veil, and we engage and we save the children. We work with, with angels. We work with our cosmic family. We work with Mother Nature. We work with the animals to help save these children. And I love how God confirms what we do in the spirit, in the natural. So, kind of have different little hats that I'm so honored and blessed to be able to bring this to the forefront of humanity. And it's such a pleasure to be here with every single one of you.
Thank you. That's awesome. All right, Pastor Carmen, let's go. We've done, I don't know how many shows together.
I know.
But
we have so much fun. And every time we're like 15 minutes later calling each other, oh my gosh, what we talked about happened. It's so fun. Miracle friends. But so I was a homeschool mom for years and years. I started an environmental company with my former husband. I have worked on being a producer for a period of time. And I also really got heavy into working with guys out of jail, especially youth out of jail, for about 5 years. And it taught me so much. And it's where I kind of perfected my ability to be the template for somebody, for them to be able to grasp onto new concepts, regardless of where they grew up. And I think that God put me here for one reason, and that was to love people and to be happy. And it's kind of funny. I've even, been in very large meetings with very sophisticated people, and they'll ask me what I do. And I'm like, my job is to be happy. And I have such a passion for positivity and truth. So I was really excited. Truth, I always call is my best friend. So I was really excited to be here and very drawn just to the photographs of everybody. So I can't wait to find out what the souls are like.
Awesome. Thank you. And Leslie, you are one of my oldest friends, which is hard to say because you're so young, but I think I've known you since you were like 16. Were you about 16 when we met? I don't know. And you're just amazing with all the things that you do and just the journey that you've been on. I'm just so inspired by everything. And so tell us a little bit.
Well, my name is Leslie, and I live down on the Alabama-Florida line at the beach. So I'm a kind of a beach life kind of person as well. And I have 2 kids. And I grew up in a very traditional Christian household. My dad's still the choir director at the church. And so I was a wedding photographer for several years. Entrepreneur has kind of been my game. I worked very early on for someone who taught quantum physics, and that kind of broke up in a whole new world for me, over a decade ago now. And that kind of took root in me a lot back then. And then I kind of let it go while I was having kids and doing all of that, running around. And then I picked it back up a few years ago. I started to wake up and realize things didn't add up. And I really began to dig for truth, and my heart really cried out for truth. And I wanted truth, even if it meant my belief system was going to be shattered. And so that was my heart. And so I've been through quite an interesting journey of just deconditioning, really, and just allowing love to be, allowing that God in us, like what you're saying, Corina, God in us, really seeing that as truth, not as like, I would have never said I saw God as a wizard in the sky, but when you kind of look at how I perceive things, that's kind of what it was.
Yeah.
But at that time, I didn't know that, right? You only know what you know. And so I've just been on this journey, and I began to kind of shift out of wedding photography and study human design. And I've been helping women with empowerment coaching, basically decondition and really elevate their life and help them learn that they get to create the experience of their life. They're not victims, and life gets to happen for us, not to us. And so I really just work with women. And I kind of say God's design of who you are is so great. And we just kind of have patterns and layers on top of that. And then when we kind of let those go and shift back into that love and faith and trust and helping people with the practicality of what that looks like, they become new humans. It's like the coolest thing for me to watch. So I coach women now. It's kind of what I do, or it is what I do. And I also have a podcast called The High Vibe Soul. And it basically breaks down a lot of the quantum physics and vibrations to where it's not so weirded out for people in kind of a simple way. Because for me, quantum physics and scripture they go hand in hand. They just make sense, that there's no one versus the other, like it is the truth kind of thing. So yeah, that's what I do. I share a lot on that. And I love to have spontaneous kitchen dance parties. So that's kind of my jam.
I think Shemane likes that too. I've seen a few dance parties Shemane had, even if it's just with her and her dogs. But
Yes.
I love that.
Love it.
I love it.
Awesome, Leslie. Well, so my first question, and just because of time's sake, it may be the only question we get, but what are you ladies doing to not consent to fear in this situation? That there seems to, like we have all said, there's just this bombardment of propaganda and fear-based everything. And I'm sure you guys, in your own ways of experience of clients and just being in the public, you're probably getting the same messages that I am on daily, not only with side effects of, help me, help me, help me, help me, but just the emotions and the spiritual and the, what do I do in the situation? So for the sake of just emotions, we're not going to talk about physical, but what are you guys doing in a sentence or two to keep the mindset in a positive with this vibration undercurrent baiting so hard to keep us down and low? I'll start with Rani again.
All right, let me know if it's feedbacking. So it's good? Okay, I've got it nice and low. Yay, so last year when all this started coming to the surface, I was like many of you, and just my heart knew this is the time I was born for, this is what I'd been preparing for. So I was willing to dive in and see what was happening under the surface. Much of it my heart already knew. And so I was learning and I was sharing about this. And just to make it brief, there came a point in time where I had a dream. And in the dream, I was invited higher up a hill to have some lunch. And I was just told, it's great, we've shifted it. We've shifted the timeline. We don't have to engage with that one anymore. And there was just this uplift for me from that dream that I realized, it was part of my journey to know and learn the dark undercurrent, but I was being given permission to just jump up into this new timeline, which for me is heaven on earth. And so that fear undercurrent tone is not where I'm called to live, even though I'm aware of it and it's there and people reach out and then I become aware of it, but it's not where I exist. So probably like many of you, meditation is so important, just my connection with God, communing with God, in those meditation times in nature with my family, just being present to enjoy the simple joys of life, right? Like dancing and gardening. That's just one of many things that I do. I think I'll pass on to someone else.
Awesome. I love it. What about you, Shemane?
Well, gosh, there's so much to unpack here, but about 18 months ago, my eyes were open to what was really going on. And Corina, you talked about the human trafficking aspect, and it really caused me obviously a lot of great pain. And, surely this can't be going on. I couldn't believe the things that I was seeing with my own eyes and hearing about. And I really started putting myself out there and started studying the Bible even more. And the more I did, the more I was convicted that my goal in life is to encourage and inspire other women, especially, but people, to be more bold and more brave, and to help others who are less fortunate than we are. We just had a young man, 19 years old, just here at our house this morning from Make-A-Wish, who is dying of cancer. And one of the things that I wrote about in my book is to give yourself to charity, to find the gift, find the thing that makes your heart sing, and then give it away. I think that's why we're here. And each of us have been blessed with different gifts. And this young man, his last wish, his family is very spiritual, and they asked if we could all pray for Justin, because they're not giving up, and I'm not going to either. But, when you're involved in a charity, for those few hours that he was with us this morning, nothing else matters. So when you give of yourself to someone or something else, you can volunteer at an animal shelter, volunteer at a children's hospital, get involved in local efforts to stop human trafficking or bring awareness to it, or whatever it is that you can do. I promise you, it will take your heart and mindset out of the gutter and onto becoming, the servant that we all were meant to be for God. And I talk about in my books that I've written, being a health advocate, putting yourself first, self-care. I think women have often, especially women with children, we roll out the red carpet for everybody, or tend to, and put the needs of others before ourselves. And one day we wake up and go, what about me? And I think now's the time for us to take care of ourselves, because even though you feel, some people watching might feel that they don't have anything to give, God may be preparing you. God may be setting you up. So be strong, be healthy, keep studying the Bible, keep praying. And I think that your time will come that you may be called upon. So I think to wrap it up, prayer is number one most important thing, and having a healthy lifestyle, because you can't help anybody if you're not healthy. And those little things, like the petting my dogs and, spending time in nature. It just, those are the things that really regenerate my life so that I can be more of a giving person to other people who might need it.
Yeah. So good.
That's awesome. Love it. Thank you.
So
Miss Corina.
Yes. So, about, let's see, probably 18 months, 19 months ago, when the scope of the atrocities that are happening on Earth, and not only on Earth, but with the children specifically, I was so frustrated. I knew what was happening before. I was aware of it because one of our TV projects, Wendy and myself, we included in there some of these atrocities. But then when it hit me in my face, I was so frustrated. I'm like, what can I do? All my conferences got canceled. Everything got canceled because of, the sea problem. So I was like, Lord, what can I do? Because sometimes I think we feel the weightiness of the atrocities, or of fear, or of this darkness. And we can find ourselves in a place where we're like, I don't know what to do. So we become paralyzed. And you guys, I sat on my sofa and I was bawling. And I said, Father, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? He said, Corina, use what's in your hand. What is in your hand? And I said, well, a little Facebook platform. Use it. And sometimes that's why I want to encourage people. Don't wait until you have everything, every I dotted and every T crossed. Use what God has given in your hand. And what I like to teach people, what the Lord has been teaching me, is do not look at the problem. Do not speak the problem. Speak the solution. And I know, Leslie, you were talking about the quantum physics. I love quantum physics. I love it. That's so my language. And as we know in quantum physics, it takes an observer to create a reality. So if we can get ourselves first and people around us to understand that whatever you focus on, it becomes your supply. And if you focus on the darkness, that darkness will increase. If you focus on your lack, I don't have this, I can't do this. What do I do? What do I do? We start panicking. We start, then it's creating that. But if we focus on, okay, Father, I see the darkness long enough to realize it's there, but now I'm going to release the light. Because we have to remember the scripture says, feast on all of heavenly, look upon on all of heavenly realities and feast on them. So what does that mean? That's the Passion Translation. Engage as an observer with what the Father says, with what the light that he brings. Don't look at the negative situations on there. Listen, even in the groups or, that I'm so blessed to mentor people, we don't go there engaging the demonic. That is so old school. That is not what we do. We look at the Father's heart. We look at what the Father says. So we literally have to get into a place where we realize I'm a creator. So now I'm going to look at the reality I want to create. And this is the reality I want to create. So that is what I will focus on. Is that easy? It's not easy. But the more we do it, the more that's going to become a part of our lifestyle every day. So I believe that's how we can combat all this evilness that we see. Because if we just look at it, it's going to draw us in. And that's what the enemy wants. Then he does not need to create anything. He's using our power as creators to create his heart's desire. So if we could just learn to shift, again, quantum physics, I love it, Leslie. If we learn to shift and realize, wait a minute, we are creators. Create the reality that we want to see, which is always opposite of the darkness. So that is such a very important point that I want to bring not only to myself, but to everybody to understand. You guys are creators. Create what the Father shows you. So, yeah.
That's awesome. It's true. And imagination, the word imagination is to image a nation. And it does take discipline, which comes from the word disciple, and we have it in us. It's in our DNA already. So I love that so much. That's amazing. All right, Pastor Carmen, what you got?
So God spoke to me 3 times. Well, actually, he spoke audibly more, but the first 3 times were kind of the answer to this question in my mind. So the very first time he spoke to me, I was in church, and they were showing this video of all of these really tragic situations, and they were showing, where they were going to spend their mission money, etc. And I remember tearing up and being like, God, these innocent children, like, what in the world are you doing? what are you doing? And his answer audibly in church, I'm looking around thinking, like, am I the only one that heard that? Was, that's what I made you for. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting because at that time I knew that he didn't mean me specifically. He meant the collective you. The second time God spoke to me was when I was trying to figure out if I should stay in my marriage after 1.5 years of, going through counseling, etc. And God literally told me during Bible study, stop worshiping him and start worshiping me. Yeah. And I'm going to tie all this together. The third time was when he said, you are Dragonfly. And it was kind of this crazy inside joke. And I was just like, wow, I have an inside joke with God. This is so fun. And so to me, it's that connection with God, the perception that you allow, that Dragonfly is, they can see in 360 degrees, and the unity and what we can do as a force. Like, my sister had triplets, and she created a safe room for them. And she couldn't even go to the bathroom really without them being in that room. Well, the very first time she left them in there to go to the restroom, she was very excited, and finally had time to herself. But as a force, toddlers picked up a table, took it to where the fence was to get in and out of that room, and they were actively climbing over it. This is what we can do if we stop believing the system is the room, the safe room, and we understand what we are as a force, the collective you, and that unity and that body of Christ and how powerful that is. And then the other one was just to stop worshiping anything other than what is true and what is real, because everything short of love is a lie.
Yes.
Yeah.
So good. I didn't know that about dragonflies. We just moved, and Brian says we're infested with dragonflies. They're all over, and
My drones.
I
They're
love
watching you.
I love them. I don't mind at all. My dogs just run around and chase them, but I think they're beautiful. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to study that.
So many cool things. They also eat on the fly, kind of like me. I need to be more sacred with my food.
If I eat at all, if with my schedule, I'm like, oh yeah, let me grab some juice for I forgot to eat the last 3 days. But anyway, yes. All right, Leslie, let's hear from you.
I love everything they said. So I've definitely gotten this question a lot, and there's a couple of things that I've just been sharing with people. Number one, just look at it this way. They wouldn't have to go round two if round one would have worked so well. So keep your head up. Don't get bogged down in the mud with it. A neighbor was saying they were believing for this house, and her husband was like, I just don't know if it's going to work out. And she's like, get thee behind me, Satan. And I said, say the same thing with this. Like, keep your head up and go on. Like, don't, like what Corina was saying, just don't feed it, but be aware that it's there, and then ask what you're to do. Another thing is really finding the little things that are fun for you. A lot of times we talk about fun and joy, and then it almost becomes another to do. I was talking with a client about this recently, and it was like, don't try to have fun, because it's going to go south. Like, even if it means you turn on a TV show for 10 minutes, like an old school TV show that you used to laugh at, before bed, maybe in the evenings. Or for me, music relates a lot with me. So like, I'm a windows down, music up kind of person, but that brings so much joy and such a free feeling of just love and pleasure in that moment. And whether it's for 10 minutes or 5 minutes, I enjoy that. And finding those things to work into your life and maybe do a little bit more of, instead of waiting on this perfect day to roll the windows down. Just roll the dabbling windows down, even if it's hot and sweaty, who cares? Just do it. And but that might not be applicable for you. But you see, find those little things you like, whether it's dancing in your kitchen or just laying in the grass out back, or going to a park and just ignoring everyone, whatever, it doesn't matter. But finding little things to weave in to help you start to step out of the place where your focus is shifted downward, and I think sometimes we all know the vibration of fun and joy is a lot higher and more elevated than fear. And so it's just kind of enjoying those little things. So that's what I've been kind of guiding people with.
Very good. Yes. And for me, because all of us are in the trenches, meaning, it's like, unless we just give up our job and our call, then we're, and we could deny it and just like go live in a mountain and never talk to anybody. Or you're called to talk to people and individuals going through their own things. And, for me, it's very, very important for my sanity to back off every now and then, and just to get away. Jesus went away from the crowds, and we may not have the crowds of conferences like many of us did for years, but there's a different there's an electrical digital crowd at this point for many of you. I think everyone here has a podcast or a show, and so that or newsletter, whatever. I mean, you have a following on platforms, so there's the energy of that. And for me, if I feel myself getting to that place, I have to back out and retreat a little bit and just kind of like regather and realign and reflect and remember God in the middle of that. Otherwise, I could just sit around and cry in between consultations, and I have done that multiple times. And then I'm like, wait a minute, stop, get in a place. I have to very much be aware of the energies. And I use like crystals and essential oils, and go outside and get in the sun 20 minutes a day. And definitely, I love what many of you said about the little things. Wind therapy for me has been a new thing. I have a Jeep, and or if I go out and just ride the golf cart or get on by the river or something. But Brian's like, I think we're going to start a a thing, and it's like wind therapy. I might just get like a fan and charge $2 an hour, but I really think there's something to wind. Personally, I think of breath or pneuma, where the spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. Where truth and pneuma, there's wind. God is in the wind, and the winds of change. And so I don't know. I'm investigating this more and more, and also that for me has been super helpful. Of just magnesium baths and detoxing and sauna and exercise. I went out for a walk this morning with a friend, and the dogs for sure. But yeah, those are all really good tidbits. And even if you don't have a show, you guys are in the trenches with your families, and those of you guys watching, it's just like watching people jump off a cliff, technically, not literally, and some of the choices that people are making, it's like scary, and you're nervous, and I'm nervous, and I get concerned. And then also I have to reimagine and realign that God has got everyone in a bubble, and that choices are made, good choices are made, and that there is this new timeline shift, that we can stay above the snake line, like Bob would say. Bob Jones always said, get above the snake line. And one time he came to me after years of passing away, and he had said, don't drink the wine. And I said, in the dream, I said to him, like, literally, don't drink alcohol? And he said, no, don't fall into the vibration, the lower vibrations, stay above the snake line. And I knew, like, I had been in the trenches, and I knew I had to, like, walk away for a little bit. And so just knowing how much you can go in and when to leave, and, whatever that means, turning off the phone or turning off the TV, or, I don't even have a TV that I don't watch the news anyway. I watch like positive things, but yeah, so thank you for that. And in the middle of, all of these changes and shifts, if you could just, like, what are some of the things that you're seeing as far as when you do present information? How do you deal with the people who may not be ready for it yet, or be open to it? I would love to hear, because I know there is a lot of perceived division at this moment, even within families. And how do you or even doing a show and then getting a troll or somebody, how do you deal with people who may not see yet? I'd love to hear just that question. And I know Shemane has to go, and we probably can go all day on tons of questions, but Rani, I'd love to hear your feedback.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you for sharing all the things you do too, Sharnael, because I've implemented so many of those things in my world, and they massively have helped to shift my vibration and my family. And that's how I was even on this journey, because of studying natural health and things like that. So yeah, mainly on social media is where I speak my truth. And I have had gone through the process of people disagreeing and, not resonating with what I share. And I really went on that journey with Jesus. I really, I remember having the shower one day, having this great comeback and awesome things to say. And then Jesus is like, you're not going to say any of that. And I just got that scripture come through, just like Jesus as a lamb was led to the slaughter and didn't say a word. You don't need to defend yourself. And so letting go of the need to defend myself, the need to prove myself, was so liberating. And then I was, and I still am learning to sit in someone else's perspective and to be able to see they think differently for a reason. They've had a different upbringing, different life. And this is a massive part of us coming into unity and harmony, which is part of our mandate for heaven on earth, is our unity and harmony. So now when I write, it's not from a place of trying to convince anyone. I just come when I feel Holy Spirit like inspiring me. I write from a place of just inspiration, of love, of speaking my truth. And I realize I can empower other people to to speak their truth, you know. And where there's someone who doesn't agree and it's a difference of opinion, I always make sure I get my heart and my energy right. So it's not reaction, because, you know, contributing to the pain and the suffering and the division, the duality. And so I still get triggered. I read things, but I go away. I go to the secret place. I deal with me in my heart. And I've chosen not to look into the darkness if I can't look with eyes of hope. So I will pull up, and then I have to go and infuse light and hope into what I just saw and heard. If I cannot infuse that hope and light, what am I doing? I'm just tethering myself to that, you know, and that's hell on earth. And a lot of us, we've tasted of hell on earth, and we don't choose to come into agreement with it. So I've got to see that heavenly perspective and bind myself to that and then bring that through. So yeah, those have been some awesome keys that I feel like have just expanded my heart so much. And I really enjoy just being able to hold space for that expansion of unity and harmony, and just calling out the divine spark in everybody, just the revelation of Namaste, the Christ in me sees the Christ in you, and everybody is worthy to be treated with love and respect.
So good. Yes.
Me next?
Yes.
Well, you know, I think that life happens to us for a reason. The trials and tribulations that we endure, I believe, are here to teach us a lesson. And years ago, like I've written about things that have happened to me, and Sharnael, you and I have talked about a lot of things that, you know, the dark night of the soul that brings us to our knees. Once we get through that, it makes us stronger. And my first experience with haters came when my husband and I went to visit President Trump in the White House. I had so much hate on my social media. I couldn't believe it. Like, I just posted a photo, and I even had very, very, very serious death threats. Now, I thought, you know, how can that be? I don't care who the president is. If you go visit him in the White House, I'd be, you know, God bless you. You know, I didn't understand that. Then, honestly, if you know who my husband is, I've learned a lot from watching him over the years, watching him just let things roll off of his back. And two people that may surprise you, my husband and also Kanye West. I thought about when Kanye put out his gospel album, how much hate he received, because I know from what my husband goes through being in the music industry, you have everybody surrounding you going, you can't do that. One of my husband's biggest songs, Stranglehold, they literally, his production team, his manager, everybody had like an intervention with him and said, you can't do an 11-minute song. You can't do it. And they argued with him, and he finally said, are you guys done? Let's go and record this. So, and Kanye did what he had to do, what he felt was right in his heart. And so all throughout these past few years, I have watched those types of things, watched me getting more and more death threats every day. And I just got banned from Twitter. Well, not just 3 months ago, but meanwhile, the Taliban leader is okay to be on Twitter. I posted a funny meme video of me. I don't swear on Twitter, on any social media. I don't post any hunting videos or photos or anything like that. I try to be positive, but I did post a silly meme video of me lip syncing. I don't even know what song that is, but what you doing? Where are you at? You know, that kind of thing. And then in the caption, I said, you know, just calling President Trump, what you do. And I am permanently banned from Twitter. So it doesn't make sense. And a lot of things don't make sense when I try to rationalize things. But when you look at God and the Holy Spirit, you know, or the wind. Sharnael, you talk about the wind. Can you see the wind? No. But you can feel it. We can all feel the Holy Spirit within us. We know that God is real. And there's sometimes, you know, what I do when I am confronted with haters is I delete them, first of all. But if I'm in a discussion with somebody that I don't agree with, I don't say anything. And I allow them to, you know, like you said, our job is to love one another. And a lot of times I think that, it's so easy to get into arguments. This world, what's going on right now, they are trying intentionally to divide us. We got to stay strong, sisters. We got to be bold and brave. I'm going to keep putting positive vibes out there on social media for as long as I can. Keep supporting and buoying one another. Like now that I know you guys, I'm going to go to your pages and like things that you do and support you, because I think the world needs so much more of that. So not everybody, those in the Bible, it says, not all who have eyes can see, not all who have ears can hear. And we just have to love them. That's what I think is most important.
That is so good. That is awesome. Thank you. And I'm just surprised that something that silly would get forever when there's other things that are way worse, and they're just allowed to scale along. And don't even get me started. Yeah. But yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I know a lot of us know, but maybe sometimes we need to remember, this is an all-out war, what we're in. That's how we're seeing these things of, for something so silly, then you're being banned and all of that. I have gotten to a point where I'm not forcing my viewpoint on anybody. I post it out there where I feel that the Lord tells me to post it. And if there's people that really, truly have questions they don't understand, I love to just expand on it with them. But if there's somebody that's really driven by another spirit that is from the opposite realm, I've learned not to engage with that. So one thing that I'm trying to remember, and as I try to teach others or encourage others, is to operate out of love. And I know you were talking about love, Rani, you were talking about, just engaging in that love. And we sometimes forget that love is not just a mushy-gushy feeling. Oh, I just love you. Yes, it's that. But love is the ultimate source of power and energy. It's the biggest energy force. It's a creative light that comes forth out of the Father, the Creator's heart. It's His essence. So you're talking about love is the ultimate power to create what is not there yet. So when I engage in the Father's heart with love and I just expand out of that, whatever's operating in that person or those entities is going to be overtaken by the most powerful force in every realm, every dimension, every multiverse. And it's going to literally create what is in the Father's heart, because this type of love recreates the desire of the Father's heart. So, is it easy? No. I am a very fiery person. I'm sure you can't tell. I'm a warrior at heart. I really am. It's just, it's at the core of my DNA. And I like to, stand firm on what I know, truth. So has it been easy for me? No. But as the Lord has taken me through this awakening and shown me really what love is, it's like, wow. Okay. So I get in that place and I just engage the Father's heart and release the love and let that create what needs to be created. So I don't have to fight. Is there sometimes when I'm like, oh, I just wish, I wish I could I have a comeback for that and for that and for that, and it's like, okay, that doesn't do anything. So that's kind of where I think if we understood that, and if we engage more with this type of love, the reality of what love is, again, love is not allowing somebody to step all over us. We have we've been taught wrong. No, it's the power that literally creates a reality and a timeline that is in the Father's heart that is not yet visible. So that is, yeah, but it has not been easy. So yes, but we can do it. We can do it.
Love it. Yep. I like that overriding frequency. Mm-hmm. If we can just override, because, even if you're in a stadium of complete darkness, just one little pin in the ceiling to prick through, you can see the light through all the darkness. And I feel like they're overplaying their hand in a lot of things by just shooting so much darkness that people are actually waking up because they're so polarized and realizing, oh my gosh, why the push? Why this? What's going on here? This is a little too much. So I think it's backfiring in a lot of ways. And I am seeing people wake up, and I appreciate that, Corina. What do you say, Carmen? How do you do, because you do consultations and coaching, and plus you have your social media platforms. What do you do whenever people are like aggressively against or posting or trolling?
So I believe in the continuum concept. So you've got somebody that is truly like, what are you doing here? You know, they don't like it and it's clear. And then you've got literal, like, vicious, demonic comments. And then, of course, you've got bots or, you know, whatever. I have a very strict kindness rule, and I do not mess with it. If somebody is questionably going to be allowed to stay and make a comment, I'll pin it. And then when I pin it, all the people who come and see what I've pinned, and then they get a blockchain response for what they've done. And so it's beautiful because it's kind of a self-correcting thing. I've done it, I don't know, maybe 7 times where it's like, I can't decide if I want to keep this comment or not. And every time except one, the people have taken it down, which shows me that they have reconsidered and they have been corrected by the unity, the force of all of us that is good. And then anyone, I am a big, like, dust the sand off my sandals girl. If it is anything dark, mean, rude, assuming things, you know. And then if it's somebody that's a little bit like, you know, they're saying something, but it's a little bit rude the way they present it, I literally rewrite what they said, exact words only to them, so that they can feel it, because I think people can't learn unless they feel something. But yeah, I just remove them. I don't have any problem with it. I have the 3-strike rule. No, I have a 1-strike rule. And if you say something mean about my guest, that's an automatic, you know, unless you're kind about it, like, you know, for whatever reason, I don't believe her, or that's different. But being ugly, that means you're out. It's darkness and it's a lie, and I don't want to bear witness to it.
Awesome. Love it. All right, Leslie.
Rani and I are on the same page about this. We've dealt with a lot of this together. I think that's really, she and I share the same views. There's one other section to this, is if it's someone that's close to you, that you have close relationship with, and that can have a little bit more sting to it. And I love the pinning idea. That's so clever. But also, I think one thing that I've had to do is go, why is what they're saying bothering me? Is there something in me that is afraid they're right? And if so, then that's just my invitation to expand in love and to release the fear that I'm carrying, or the uncertainty, or whatever it is, or to sit with it. It might go away in 2 seconds, or it might take a couple hours, or it might be something that marinates for a couple of days. But I believe in asking God to show you, and then it's shown. That's kind of my personal thing. And just allowing the love, like, you get to be expanded in love and grace and compassion for the other soul and for the other heart, because we also don't know what seeds we're planting. We don't know if that thing that we said that they think is absolutely absurd and they just berated us or whatever, in 3 months are going to be like, so about that thing, you know? And so it's just kind of knowing when we share that we share from that place of love and trusting, and really the results aren't even up to us. You know, it's just like, we trust that who hears it needs to hear it. And having that amount of faith and trust really helps make the trolls a lot less active. So yeah, that's kind of my perspective.
I love it. Yeah, well, 2 things come to my mind. I had an aha at the water. Again, water and wind for me. I'm a beach girl, but I like the mountains. And I know Shemane's got to go in a second here. Do you have to go right now, Shemane? Okay. Because this is going to be the final, and then I'll just have everybody say how we can all connect. But I had an aha because of some family and some other people who had some very strong opinions, whether it was medical, and this person was a medical, or government, and this person was government. And because I had presented information, it was real life experience. It's not hearsay. It's not like, I heard from this guy from a neighbor who's a cousin's dog had this thing happen. I'm talking about actual people that I'm working with, that I know and have known for years, that are having these things happen. And so presenting that information, and then to have someone just, I don't know, be able to not see that or hear that or to make decisions opposite of that, I realized that it was affecting me a little bit more. And I did what Leslie said. I was just like, okay, what's going on? Why, I was obviously taking it personal, and it was triggering, number one, not being heard, not feeling like I was trusted. Like, do you not believe me? Like, what would I lie about? Like, why would I be out here doing what I'm doing to just lie? For what purpose? Like, I'm only sharing what I'm sharing because this is actual experience that I'm having, even though fact checkers saying, this is fact. I was like, fact check what? Like, I literally know this person and this is going on in their life. This is what I'm doing with this person. So what? How is that like not truth? So, but when it is personal, what I walked away and with my aha was, well, one happened to be a medical person, and they had devoted all their years to 20-something years of education and 20-something years in the medical field. And they had to either come to the conclusion that whatever they did and whatever they participated in isn't what they thought, or they were right and they would just keep on participating, and same with the government. This person had worked in the government for some 20-some years and served and loved and, really loves the country, and kept saying, well, the government wouldn't do this. The government, it's like, oh my gosh. And so I realized they were not even able to look at the fact that they were participants, even out of innocence, even out of ignorance, even out of maybe it was different then and it's different now. But they couldn't bear the thought that all of that time invested was for none. And it really isn't for none. It's just their perception. And so that gave me a little bit of like, okay, so this is just about them, which ego protects, ego defends, ego fights, and it needs survival and needs life. And versus humility, where it's like, I can look at teachings from 10 years ago and go, I don't even believe that anymore. I'm not sure where I got that from. I'm totally fine to say that. I'm totally, you know what I mean? Like, I guess humility and love and truth is such a big key in this, of just being able to go, you know what, this is what I believe now. I may not tomorrow, but I'm totally fine with being wrong, and prove me wrong if you want. I'd love to hear your experience. I'm just talking about my experience, and kind of like what Leslie was saying, is just like being very loose with whatever and just wanting the truth. So help me God. It's even if it broke every box of programming that I had, even if it's like the Cookie Monster's your dad in real life, it's like I'm willing to be wrong and to admit that I'm wrong when I'm wrong. And I don't, call that whatever it is. I think if everyone had that instead of this whole, I got to defend what I've been doing for this whole time, even though it's absolutely harmful and putting people at risk, in this moment. But I wanted to touch base too on what Carmen said about repeating back to the people. That I have not used that yet. Sometimes I have, or I'll just copy and paste and then put question mark, like, is this what you meant to say? Kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt here. Like, but Bob Jones, when he would get weird stuff through email, because that's all he had at the time, he would just hit reply with nothing. That's great. That was his way of resending it back, of just being like, nope, don't receive. That's on you. It's a reflect. I've been looking at the word reflect, and it means to send light back, to radiate. To means to do again. So to reflect, to constantly stay and reflect, to do it again. I mean, that's kind of a choice, moment to moment. And that's kind of what I'm choosing to do. I don't do it all the time. Sometimes I am reactive. I have to check myself, and I have to walk away and cry and do whatever I need to do, just like all humans. I had to actually cancel someone's consultation, and give them their money back for the first time, because it was so abusive for weeks. The content that was being said to me and told to me that I was just like, you know what? I am not the person to help you. This has gone too far, too long. There is too way demanding and weird and just like not a good fit for me. And I've never done that before. But I felt so much like I took my authority back. And instead of just continuing to be sucked in after months, I was just like, no, and just let it go. But detoxing water, there's some things that will not go away through any food detox, through any fast, but crying, tears are very, very important to release and transmute some of this stuff. And then just, again, looking at ourselves constantly. But for the sake of time, everyone.
I'm so sorry. I gotta run, but this has been such a blessing. Thank you so much for inviting me, Sharnael. It's such a wonderful gift to be able to meet all of you here, and I hope that we can do it again.
Yes.
All
And
right,
where can we find you, Shemane? Where can we find you?
My website is ShemaneNugent.rocks. ShemaneNugent.rocks. ROCKS. And I'm not on Twitter, but I'm on Facebook. I have a blue check on Facebook and also on Instagram, and I'm on there every day.
Awesome. Thanks for being with us.
All right, guys. Have a great day.
Awesome.
Bye.
Rani, where can we find you? Oh, wait, it's on, there we go.
All right, so I'm on Facebook, so you've tagged us all, so people can find me there, and Instagram as well, just Rani Curtis, you will find me, and my website is harmonichealth.nz.
Thank you. Awesome. All right. Well, it's kind of mixed up how it went. Corina, there we go.
So people can find me on Facebook and also Kingdom Reflections on Facebook, kingdomreflections.org, and The Quest for Truth on YouTube.
Thank you.
And then mine's carmenstuder.com, and I'm on Twitter and YouTube. And I also do a podcast with my daughter. It's kind of fun to watch the dynamics of the different generations. And it's called Let Me Ask My Mom, and it's also on YouTube.
That's cute.
Yes. Love it. Generations working together. I love it. Awesome. All right, Leslie.
I love that name. That's so great.
Thank you.
You can find me at the Leslie Davis on Instagram. And of course, you tag us on Facebook. And the podcast is The High Vibe Soul. And yeah, I'm in all the places. And then the website is also the Leslie Davis. And you can see all the resources on there.
Awesome. And I will go in and post everybody's links so people can easily follow and click, and because these guys all have amazing content. I would love for all of you to follow them and get more information about what they're doing. And Kathy has a comment here: if you're depressed, just cry. The opposite of depression is creating and expression. And so that's my final, is just like go out, and if you're feeling depressed, oppressed, suppressed, say whatever you need to say. Say it out loud. Express, paint, crochet, garden. Do something that is whatever is your form of creative being and action. Do that, and that will lift some things, move some things, cry if you need to. And for everyone who's on, and anyone who would see this in the recording following, I am praying for every one of you. We are all praying for every one of you. And we are sending you light in the midst of everything that you're doing to bring light to your families and your communities. And know that all of us are here, and we love you so much. And that's why we're doing what we're doing, is because we want you. We'd love for you to be empowered. We invite you to be empowered, enlightened, and to be truth, and to live truth in action, and to get above that snake line and remember. So yeah, love you guys. Pray for all of us too. Send good vibes, and go to swiftfire.org. You can find my newsletter there and a lot of resources that I don't put on any other platforms. And just mucho gratitude and love to all you guys, and to Shemane, who is on another panel right now, but love all of you, and thank you for your time and for your service to humanity. Everyone who's on the panel and everyone who's watching, you guys just we can do it together in unity. It's a matter of us remembering as one. So,
yay! Thank you.
Thank you.
awesome.
Thank you so much.
Lots of love. Yay. Sun shining in New Zealand now. The sun has.
Oh, I see it. I love it. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.